Hey, Buffett, it's movie night. Why they bother asking me, what should we watch? Because it's gonna be some 90s drama or some romantic comedy. Maratari, the things we do for love. In today's episode, we are talking romance in the marriage. We sit with a couple who had to redefine what romance is in their marriage.
I always say that you're such a considerate lover, right? You want to please me, you want to make me happy, you affirm me, right?
A newlywed gentleman who's had to deal with being romantic.
My idea of romance was completely, totally warped in the wrong way.
And an expert.
You can't keep thinking that what makes you feel loved must then be imposed upon somebody else.
Stay tuned. Most of you know me as a stand-up comedian.
I saw a guy who had a sign that said, "I'm so angry, I made a sign." What?
Ntho sa tsebeng ke gore ke le timer, ya jola, and ke nagana wait gore maybe one day le nna ke tla ba husband.
It's rough.
Hey, re tla bona. Join me as I find out what happens after the vows. Dumelang bagaetso ra lo mogela mo after the vows. I'm your host Libzolaga Kimpo Fox Mudikwane, and pele re kena mo kgangeng ya today, which is romance. Romantic.
Yeah.
Ke eng di romantic gestures so di etsang le motho wa gago le tshwarana matsogo ba bang ke ba ba tshwarane matsogo. But before we get into our topic today, ke batla di guests ka di shebe just a special video we put together, and then we will continue with the conversation.
For my husband, it's words of affirmation. Like, he needs words, he needs encouragement.
Well, I know my wife likes traveling, so we go travel anywhere.
We cook for one another, we run bubble baths for one another. Okay, yes, I cook. She makes sandwiches for picnics sometimes. And I accept.
We hug for 1 minute.
Could even be kissing me on the forehead, that's romantic.
I'm trying to get him to love me with my love language.
Just based on the clip that we just watched, there's one thing that pops up, and it's something I've heard in almost all the episodes we've done. The love language.
Yeah.
Love language. I want to know from you guys, what are some of your love languages?
My love language is all of them, right?
Yo.
All of them.
All of us have all of them as our love languages. Just not all of us are honest about it. We try to pretend, no, I'm not really into you buying me stuff. And meantime, we are into all of them. We want acts of service. We want special gifts to be bought for us.
It's interesting that, there's sort of an agreement here that every single person wants a bit of all of these, but to varying degrees. Yeah. So there are certain things that will make you feel more loved than others. Case in point, there are certain people who really, really just want gifts.
Yeah.
Everything else, like you won't get up, it's like, okay, yeah, cool.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for that. But
Rolex.
nakupa 100 rand. It doesn't even have to be a lot of money, for some people. It's just that little bit, that gift that you give them.
But one in varying degrees, like you mentioned, Linda, and at different times. There's a time and a place for everything. Yeah. And in that time and that place, in that moment, I think it's important to express that. So at special times like birthdays, Christmas, gifts are appropriate, make sure that you can't just say, but I'm here for affirmations. You're so wonderful, it's your birthday. It's like, no, it's my birthday, I need a gift.
On this day, Kim was born. On this day, Kim was born. Words of affirmation.
And if you want to spend time, it's not good enough to be like, I'm not around because I'm trying to get you this gift. What do you want?
I hear you. So guys, I think before we actually go deeper into our conversation, I want our experts to actually help us define what romance is in a relationship. Because I think this whole concept of romance is so broad.
In many ways, we've already touched on it.
Yeah.
Because it's what makes your partner feel loved. Right. So it can be any number of things, whatever it is. this whole notion of basing romance on Instagram or social media.
Before Realibo Instagram, remember the romance it's all from Bold and the Beautiful, from Cinderella.
You know, and it clouds the vision of what romance should be about. There's nothing more amazing than knowing that your home is a soft space to land. After you've had a difficult day, after you've been fighting the world, to know that you're coming back to somebody that's in your corner. Somebody that you can be vulnerable to. That's romance, guys.
I love how you put it, you know, like fighting I love the boxing analogy.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you guys this. What was your romance coming into this relationship? So I'm starting with relationship because you were together for 2 years, and then you've been married for 11 years, so 13 years together. What was the romance like coming into it, and what were some of the expectations?
So what happened was, I was the good guy. I was the guy that bought the gifts. I was the guy that would walk you in the rain to the taxi. I was I did, you know what I'm saying? And then that wasn't appreciated. And I was like, oh, so good guys don't win in this life, right? And then by the time I met my wife, the love was there, but I was very injured, like I'm saying. So it took me a while to kind of like heal, I think, from that. And so when I came into a relationship with her, I definitely wasn't getting the romance part right.
I think a lot of gents always think that the onus is placed on the man. It's the responsibility of the man to sort of initiate romantic gestures.
That is an expectation that has been placed on men by society at large. I think that women also grow up with that expectation. Women expect that men are going to come and rescue them because they're damsels in distress. And I think that it is a false narrative that we grow up with as people, and then we go into relationships with false expectations. I think if you were to ask a lot of men as well, I don't know if they could articulate, like these fine gentlemen, really what their romantic needs are. If you actually had to ask them, like, okay, as a man, romantically, what are your needs? I don't know that they would be able to articulate them because they've never had to interrogate it.
The onus is placed on men, but I sometimes think rightly and sometimes wrongly so, but in many ways, we're the chasers, we're the hunters, and in many ways, we have to initiate something. You know, that's us, when the initiators.
Welcome back to After the Vows. Topic today, Chisa, we are talking about romance and what your idea of romance is within your marriage, with your partner, how you receive romance and how you give romance. Before we continue with our conversation, I want us to watch a little clip and then we'll take our conversation from there.
Jakarumba. Thandwa sami. My eucalyptus oil inside a menthol bath. All the spirits. My lovely. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. This is, but ndifuna ubuza wethu ngubani ke ngoku ozawuklina ezi roses apha?
Cleaner.
I mean zii-roses nezi candle ezi zizawuchitheka apha kwii-tiles zam, and then yazi oil asikwazi sayisusa ngantoni ke ngoku esiyirhwele, andiyazi mhlawumbe ngemela, I don't know.
Kuyalibala lipantsula lwena.
Kodwa ke ikhona into ongayenza, yeah? How about a cup of rooibos tea, some chamomile, a little bit of a lemon, and then a foot massage?
Fine.
Let
me help you with this bag.
Okay, thank you.
So, you know, what I love most about that clip is that he has this idea of what a romantic evening would be. The rose petals, the candles everywhere. And she goes, no, this is not me. You know, can you just make me a cup of rooibos and rub my feet? It's happened to me in my situation where, you know, my woman did the whole lingerie thing, and then when I walked in, she played music. But I think her song choice wasn't right. You know, now she's there. And I'm like, no, there's no way you can be romantic in Zoro. I'm like, what are you doing? This is your favorite song. Yeah, when I'm in the club. Not. We can't be romantic. I'm gong gong. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to know from you guys, how has sort of having these romantic clashes along the line affected your marriage?
It's made it better, bro. Yeah. It's made it so much better. There's nothing. I've always said that I will never understand women, but I'll spend the rest of my life trying to understand my wife.
Yeah.
And for me, bro, like every time I get something wrong, I'm like, oh. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it helps me know her better, which then means that it improves my romance game. You know, because then I know, then I'm like, oh, but I'm glad I tried it. Because if I never tried it, then I would never know.
Baby, you listen. You take notes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I always say that you're such a considerate lover.
Yeah.
Right? You want to please me. You want to make me happy. You affirm me. Right? So I think over the years, where we didn't get it right and I would communicate to say, babe, go that way. You would listen and you would change gears. Yeah.
Ha le batla ho bona lerato, shebang after the vows. Kile, le boneng, le shebeng, le experiencing, le utlweng. Ha le fetsa, le commenting. What happens in a situation where you sort of want to receive love and affection or romance according to your love language, but it's not necessarily the one your partner subscribes to?
See, here's the thing. It must always depend on the receiver. That is crucial. You can't keep thinking that what makes you feel loved must then be imposed upon somebody else. And similarly, Luena, when you start acting out, when you want to do something for someone, listen. Yeah. The listening is absolutely crucial.
I want to know from everyone on the panel, where do you think your expression of romance comes from?
I learned affection from home. My dad was extremely affectionate. I mean, he would just tap my mom's bum in the kitchen. No, he would. Right? No. And we would be like, why? Right? But we come from a family that was just oozing with love and affection. And I think I expected that going into marriage. And it was an expectation that was met.
Mrena Tumisho, where would you say your expression of romance?
I think that also, you know, my family, my parents were very affectionate with each other. Like, I remember they'd always be kissing in the kitchen, and you're like, oh. But as I got older, and I've loved movies my whole life since I was 4 years old. I've gone to movies, and like you, I always go, oh, I identify with that character. I think somewhere along the line, my idea of romance left the home because I was like, they're my parents. It's like I took it for granted. That's what they do. And it was almost like, I felt like my parents were, I don't know how to say this, but like, they were just too ordinary. You know, I wanted something grand. Yeah, you know. Yeah. But that made me go all the way, like, I went left, you know, because now suddenly I'm listening to all the music, the R&B, and then I'm getting it from what is in the media. Yeah. And my idea of romance was completely, totally warped in the wrong way. Yeah. And because sometimes you think of your parents as not being cool. And so you want to do what is cool. But when you get older, you realize what is not cool is actually what is real, right? The simple stuff. My dad wasn't a rich man who was buying my mother Range Rovers and
taking her to exotic
places. But he'd be home. You know, on the weekend, he was home with us. He would cook for us. He would look after us, especially when my mom was working, because she was a working mom. And they got along. But watching all these movies and listening to all this music, I was like, nah, romance is like, you gotta do this and that. And that's where I got it wrong.
Welcome back to After the Vows. We are currently in discussion ka kgang e ya romance. And I think one of the biggest questions that everyone has around this whole idea of romance is that, do you need money to be romantic? Because Harasheba more social media, it seems like the biggest gestures are often the most expensive.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
But I need to qualify the statement.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, when you're sitting there and the basics are not covered, it's very hard to be romantic.
Yes.
If I'm understanding you, Linda, it's like romance is the cherry on the cake or the icing on the cake, but you need a cake.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You can't just have icing on its own, which means the basics have to kind of be sorted out. Like, as a man, part of actually being romantic is just trying your best to sort out the basics. Now, I have to qualify that and say there are situations where maybe you're unemployed or you're unable to be the provider you hope to be for your family. I think there's still stuff that you can do, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
In that situation.
Of course. Be mindful. Be helpful. Those are things that will then put her in the mood to say, okay, fine, I'm not expected to then come back and still do wifely duty, such as it is, when I'm the one that's actually bringing in the money.
Sometimes people get a mental block when they don't have a budget. And I love this conversation because we have demystified a lot of what people think romance is, right? In terms of just the candlelit and the flowers and the whatever. Me coming back from home, my husband saying, babe, just sit on the couch, I'll massage your feet. That for me is romance, right? And I remember I used to say, even if you write me a letter, a heartfelt letter just to tell me how much you appreciate me, how much you love me. That for me, those are some of the practical things that people can do to romance their partners.
How would you say couples can learn each other's love languages?
So I think listen.
Yeah.
Right? Don't listen to respond. Listen to really listen and take it in. And the partner that is listening also have a teachable spirit. Listen to exactly what I want, how I want to be loved, and love me the way I want to be loved. I think it's simple.
Yeah.
I feel like we complicate love. We complicate love.
Yeah, if I could just add on to that. Even as you listen, continue to pay attention. Because your wife's or your spouse's love language evolves as well.
It's gonna delete 6, 7.
You understand? Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So once upon a time, she loved speckled eggs. And every time when I was out, I would stop by the petrol station and I would bring home speckled eggs. She doesn't want speckled eggs anymore. She's not about speckled eggs. There's also an evolution in romance. Continue servicing it.
What she said. Listen. You know what I'm saying? Just listen. Like, we don't listen. I mean, I remember the first couple of years with my wife, you know, I would be like, I needed to get that bag. I needed to get that specific bag, that really expensive one with the matching this and that. And I got it. And I was like, yes, I'm the man. And then the next year I was like, I need to get another one. And she was like, yo, slow down. That's not what I need. This is what I need. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was killing myself to get this one thing that I thought was romantic because so-and-so has been got her that bag. And then she was like, but that's what I need is this, right? And if we get so hurt because you think I did my best. I went and got those speckled eggs in the middle of the night and you didn't like them.
After cave.
Yeah, but she just said
like
she doesn't like speckled eggs anymore or she doesn't need that bag anymore. So, but what does she need? She needs you to spend time at home. She wants you to be able to be at home on a Saturday night with just her, watching her favorite reality show for a change.
So here's what I want to know, right? And I'm sure all the couples at home watching also want to know. What are the benefits of being romantic with each other? What are some of the benefits?
Children. More children.
I think some of the benefits are just feeling really safe with your partner. When especially I speak for a lot of women, especially the affection part, the affirmation, the being present, it makes us feel safe. You know, and that is a big thing for us.
I don't think there's a greater gift than being able to be completely vulnerable with your partner. And I think romance can do that in a relationship where you are able to make a fool of yourself. You're able to put yourself out there and just allow your partner to take all of you in. You know, you're able to be vulnerable. You're able to share your the innermost parts of who you are and what you're about. And this is what romance does. As soon as you put yourself out there romantically for the next person, you feel exposed. And I don't think that there's a better gift that you can actually give to your partner than being completely naked, figuratively speaking. Amen.
Hey, yeah, hey, figuratively. There's nothing better than being le shampa for motho wa gago. Kena o le so.
Amen.
Yeah. So what can couples do to make sure that their idea of romance aligns with each other's?
Okay, first and foremost, make your relationship your own. Do not be coming in with preconceived ideas of what a good relationship is or what it looks like or whatever. Think about what pleases you. Think about what makes you happy. And likewise, think about what pleases your partner. Make it your own. As it can be as unconventional can be. Make it work for you.
And isn't that romantic though?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the
beautiful.
most romantic thing ever. Having a relationship that's yours.
Yeah.
Not trying to live up to something else that you know in your heart feels fake.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think also communicate expectations, because a lot of our frustration comes from unmet expectations that were not communicated. Yeah, because you come into a marriage or a relationship and you think, it's obvious, 1 + 1, buy flowers, 1 + 1, touch me. You know, but it's really not, it's not as easy as 1 + 1. So communicate those expectations. It's very important.
I couldn't agree more, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's very important to communicate our expectations. And more than anything, I think the one thing I've learned is that whatever you did to get that person, do that thing to keep her, you know? And if the thing you are doing to keep her or him has evolved, evolve leona. If the speckled eggs are disebetse, boil maya manete. Do you understand? But keep evolving to keep that person. Guys, are rataneng, are being romantic. I know you guys are sitting at home, you are looking at Petu Lele Rato, you're like, I want what they have. Have what you want. This is what they have. Create your own thing, you know? Yes, and that's what romance is about, you know? So I want to take this time to thank my wonderful guests for joining me on After the Vows. And most importantly, I want to thank all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. We'll see you guys next time. My name is Mpopa Ops Murikwane. Thank you so much for watching. Good night. Bye-bye.